Hey guys, okay, so let's talk Yacht CV layout and industry expectations. Your CV is crucial. It is your first impression and it needs to be rock star in order to get noticed. With that being said, I know how it feels when you are told that you need a Yacht CV, but you're still stuck with so many questions, right? Even when you are given a template, what information should you include? And what should you leave out? What should the layout be? What about pre-generated CVs online? And what about the photo? So many questions rise up that it can be quite frustrating. So I decided to create a step-by-step video using a checklist that I created to edit a CV template from scratch. So get ready. We are going to sit together and create your CV to industry standards. In order to get started, there's 3 steps that you need to take in order to go through this video with me. Number 1. Go down there and hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell icon to ensure that you don't miss any of our awesome upcoming videos. Number 2. Click the CV checklist link below in the description of this video so that you can get your copy of the free Yacht CV checklist. Number 3, go to the link in the video description that will give you access to the CV template. Now please note, this is a live Google document. You will not be able to edit this document in itself. You have to either make a copy or you have to download it as a Word document. Now pause this video and quickly work your way through the steps. Once you're ready, come back to the video and then let's do this. Welcome to the Yacht CV workshop. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is we're going to sit and have the Yacht CV template that I've given you as well as the Yacht CV checklist side by side, and we're going to edit the template so that you know how to edit it and put all your information in and your photo and all that stuff. Let me just quickly pull up the checklist. There we go. So this is what the checklist looked like. Before I dive in, for those of you that have arrived on the template and you're unsure why you can't edit it, it's because it's a live Google document. So in order to make it yours and make it editable, go up here to File, and you can either say make a copy. So if you also have Google Drive, then you can just make a copy for yourself and name it, and then it's yours. Or you can download it by going to Download and Microsoft Word or whatever other format it is that you want to use. Okay, let's get going. I'm just gonna hide this. So first of all, let's scroll down to the first page. The heading should be your name and title. Now, I'm just going to put your Sandy Summers. And then here you would either put stewardess or deckhand or chef or engineer, whatever the case is, whatever it is that you're looking for. Next up, you're going to put here your availability. Now, it's quite vital to add the date from which you will be available. So I'm just going to say October 2020. And then add your location as well. This is important so that agents and captains, everybody knows where you are currently located, if you're available to come in for an interview and all that stuff. Next up, your nationality. Then if you need a visa, then put the title of the visa that you have as well as the expiration date. This is just so that they can see your visa is going to be valid for a decent amount of time, so that you're not going to have to run around and get paperwork and things like that. Next up is your email address, obviously, and then your mobile number. Now, I highly recommend that when you get to one of the yachting hotspots, go get a local SIM card. This makes everything so much easier. Just go get a local SIM card and people can contact you. If you have a Skype name, put your Skype name there. If you don't, it's not a big deal, but I would recommend to get one. Then I actually, on the template, it actually says here websites. So if you have your certificate, your CV and all your photos and everything on a live website, then that's where you put the link. If you don't have that, then just delete that section and go on to the next one. What I've added in here is the title certificates. Now, it doesn't actually say it here in the checklist. Here it just mentions the website. But what I would recommend is get yourself a Google Drive or a OneDrive or an Apple iCloud or whatever it is that you prefer to use. Create a folder that actually says certificates and put all your certificates there. Put copies of your certificates in there and then make another one for your references. Now, this is much easier to do than to share your certificates through your CV by people just clicking a link. So what you do is you go and get the shareable link for that. You copy it. Here you come and you say link. Come on, why are you not doing it? And then you just paste the link in there. And it's that simple. If you send this as a PDF, then people have the ability to just click on that and then access your documents immediately. Now, the same for your references as well. Now, you can either have them both in one folder. If on my personal CV, it actually has, when people click on the link, it opens up a window where it shows my references and my certificates. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to say references here as well. You can just say certificates. And when they click it, then they'll know. They'll get there anyway. Okay, next up, health. Here you say good health, no tattoos, non-smoker, whatever it is that you want to say there. And then in languages, this is quite crucial. So I've added it there as well. Put the languages that you speak and understand here. The reason for this is some boats will hire you because you speak a specific language, and then some boats will hire you because you don't speak a specific language. This is pretty interesting, but it's important to add it there. And then obviously your date of birth. Okay, so let's go over to your photo. Insert a professional photo. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to hire a professional photographer. If you can, do it. But if you can't, you can just get a friend to take a photo with you with a good enough phone or a camera that actually takes really good photos. Selfies are a no-no. Definitely do not recommend taking a selfie. When you do take your photo, actually take photos that are just from the shoulders up as well as from half your body up, so that you can later on choose which one you want to use. We've actually seen that in a lot of cases, having half a body up, actually those CVs get more traction, but it's not always the case. So have the two possibilities there, and then you can play around with it if you want. Like maybe some of the CVs have got half a body, some of them only have your shoulders, and then see which ones you actually get more of a response to. It's all about trial and error. Yeah, just see what works for you. Okay, so if you're a guy, be clean shaved. If you're a girl, make sure your eyebrows are neat and that you're wearing very light makeup. Don't overdo it. It should be natural. No sunglasses and no hats. The shirt that you wear should obviously be ironed and crease free, but try to make it so that it's either a white, a light blue, or a black one color shirt. Try to avoid logos and stripes and all that stuff, because what happens is you're already going to choose a specific background. Now, if your shirt is very busy, it takes the attention off of you. So try to make it as clean cut as possible. Stand up straight, shoulders back. Obviously, don't do it at this angle that I did the unicorn at. The unicorn's face is too big for me to do a straight, full-on photo. You don't really see its eyes then. So you want to be facing forward, facing the camera, so that your entire face is visible. Make sure that you have a nice background that's not too busy. Usually water or a marina in the background works well. So if you're applying for a role as a stewardess or a deckhand, then this is the ideal background for you. But if you're applying as an engineer and you want to have an engine room in the background, that's also fine. Just make sure that the engine room is not the highlight of the photo. You should still be the highlight. So and if you're a chef and you want to have a galley as the background, make sure that the galley is not more highlighted than you. So maybe blur the background a little bit or anything like that. You have to be the focal point of the photo. But for the majority of the applications, most of them just have a marina or boats in the background because it's serene, it's not too busy, and it doesn't take the focus away from you. Okay, next up, are you squinting? This tends to happen quite often because you want to take the photo during the day, but there's a specific time during the day when it's best to take photos. You either want to do it early in the morning or just after sunset in the evening, because ideally you want to be facing where the light is coming from, which means you want to be facing where the sun is positioned. So in order to avoid any weird shadows on your face, and it also helps then to not have the background to be lighter than what you are. And that's what I mentioned here. Ensure that your face is more lit up than the background. This is quite important. You can also take it at any time of the day. If it's a nice cloudy day, that's when it's quite perfect to take photos. And don't forget to smile. Try to have your most honest smile. Smiling is infectious, and the idea of someone smiling when they look at your CV is kind of ideal. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's go on. Objective. Now, the objective basically means what it is that you hope to achieve in the yachting industry. So in this little paragraph here, you're going to give what it is that you hope to achieve, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, and do you have any special skills or experience that will set you apart from the rest. So if you are super organized, you have like exceptional time management, all these sort of stuff, like mention this in a sentence-based paragraph right over here. Okay, next up. Yacht-related qualifications and certificates. So in the template that you have, it actually says here what yachting qualification 1. And then it says your SCCW. Now, you have to delete what I wrote here. That was just an example. So this is more or less what yours is going to look like. So you're going to say your SCCW, and if it expires, then you're going to say here, okay, it expires in March of 2025. Same for your ENG1. Your ENG1 will definitely have an expiry date, so you can say it's February 2022, and then just put it in brackets. Now, the reason why I put it in a table format here is so that you have the option, if you don't have a lot of yachting qualifications and certificates here, then you can actually just take the date and write it there. But that's entirely up to you. I've done this because for the deckhands, you're going to have quite a few certificates, and doing it in a table format here makes it look quite neat, as well as it saves quite a bit of space, because you want your CV to be only 2 pages. Even for people that have been in the industry for 10 years, their CVs are still 2 pages. So it gets quite tricky towards, when you're 5 years in and you've got all these certificates, to try and still keep it with your experiences and everything to 2 pages. Okay, next up, we're going to add skills or experience. I just want to add one thing here. If you have a driver's license, you can add it here under your qualifications and certificates, or you can add it here under your personal information. On my CV personally, I have it here, but that's entirely up to you. Okay, skills or experience. Here you're going to add related skills or experience that you think will be helpful for your next role. So if you have some waitering experience and you've waited at events, or you've helped people to organize events, or you're a deckhand and you have some sailing experience, or you've got navigating experience, whatever the case is, whatever prior work experience you have that you think will really help you for the role that you're looking for, you just add that over there. So I'm just going to say here, service experience, customer liaison seems to be a popular one for waitering and stuff. Problem solving, leadership skills, whatever the case may be. What skills it is that you've gained over the past few years that could help you. Okay, next up, yacht-based work experience. So here in the beginning, you're going to be adding day work, right? So if you don't have actual full-time experience yet, you can add it like this. Say day work, and then it was on a 49-meter sail yacht. I'll just put a dot instead. I'll just use Serene as well. Sail yacht Serene. It is a private vessel. This doesn't actually really matter that much for day work, but just add it anyway. And you can just say 2 weeks. 2 weeks, October 2020. And then just list out a whole bunch of stuff that you've learned. So duties, polishing, washdowns, teak treatment, whatever it is that you did during that time. And then this is how you would just list all the day work that you have until you get your very first yacht job, right? So then you remove that from there. And then below all your other yacht job experience, then you can still keep your day work there, because all of it is relevant. Only once you start running out of space on your CV? Will you just start deleting day work because then it's not relevant anymore? Okay, so here I've written out the format that I've used on my CV to add my previous work experience. So I start with the size of the vessel, whether it's a motor or a sail yacht, the name, if it's private or charter. Some of them are private and charter. So then it's written like this, and then the dates. Now you can either put this in brackets if you want, don't have to put it in brackets, however you feel it looks best. Then you give a brief description, and then I have it listed out like this. So the position, joint, duties, and then your reason for leaving. Putting the reason for leaving there is actually quite important because it's something that they're going to ask you about anyway. So you might as well just put it there. So what I did is I actually just made the font a little bit smaller so that it's still in line. As you can see here, let me actually quickly show you what mine looks like. So this is an example of what my layout is on my CV. Now, obviously, I've sort of added in a brief description in the duties, but I was running out of CV space, so I couldn't actually leave a description anymore. But this is for someone that has quite a full CV. So I'm just going to take that away. For you that's just beginning, you want to write a brief description and you want to mention where it is that the boat was cruising. So I said, yeah, we cruised the Balearic Islands for a 2-week charter. Basic. And then the rest of the information is there. Now, that's one layout to use. A lot of the people are actually using this layout. This is also up to you, whatever preference, as long as it's easy to read. Somebody's scanning your CV, so I made this bold, and then I made these guys bold so that when they're scanning your CV, it's much easier to read, and they know exactly where to go to see what information. But this way also works. So you start off with the dates, the job title, yacht name and size, home port. So where the boat is based, or you can actually say where you joined the vessel. A short description of your roles and responsibilities separated by a comma. And then that's it. Okay. I would still add there a reason for leaving, but obviously if you say you were hired as a temp deckhand, then it's assumed that it was just a temporary role. Okay, let's move on to the next one, other work experience. So here you want to write the dates, the job title, company name, responsibilities, and related skills that you've gained. This is important. People want to see that you've actually taken notes of the stuff that you've learned in your previous roles. Adding other work experience here, add as much as you possibly can because you never know. I had experience teaching English online and I worked for a company for quite a few months and I added that in here and I didn't actually think that would help me in yachting, but I added it anyway. And my very first job, I was hired because I added that experience there. I was then asked to tutor the owner's son during a summer holiday. Okay, so add all of your previous work experience here because you don't know which one it is that's going to hit. Education. List your prior education. This is obviously your high school diploma, university degree, whatever else there is. And next up is other skills, not yachting related. So any other skills that you might have, you can either separate it or you can keep it together. So if you are into pottery or you paint or you do photography, I mean, that could be set as a skill or a hobby. So just add all of them in here because the majority of the vessels will hire you in accordance with whether or not you would fit in well with the crew. So if you have similar interests or hobbies to some of the people that's already on board, then you're more likely to get hired. So it's very important that you don't leave this section out. Okay, next up is references. Check with your references to see if they are still contactable, if the email or the number still exists, and make sure that they are aware that they might be contacted. This is very, very important. I made this mistake in the beginning and I really, really regret it. Here's the last little checklist that you need to do. First of all, check for any spelling mistakes. Go through your CV, check the grammar, check the spelling. And then next up, check that the font is easy enough to read. No more than 2 fonts are used. Now, in this template, I've basically used the same font, but just the titles or the headers I've made italic and bold. That's it. And then obviously my name is a different one. So you can have this the same font, you can have it the same color, it doesn't matter as long as it just stands out. And it should be easy to read, obviously. Next up, check that everything is aligned correctly. So this is quite important. Don't have your photo like over here or like over here. Make sure that it's aligned correctly. For me personally, I like aligning my photo along with my personal information. It just looks better instead of having it aligned up here with the title. Do you see how off that looks? So just make sure everything's in alignment. Everything looks very neat right off the bat. And then check the size of the text. Make sure, where everything's supposed to be the same size, everything's the same size. Having this one a little bit smaller just so that this is all spaced out correctly is not the end of the world. Like you want it to be easy for people to spot exactly the keywords that they are going to be looking for when they're scanning your CV. And the last one is make sure your CV is no longer than 2 pages. Like I said before, doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry, your CV never really exceeds 2 pages. And another thing to note is the only point where there should be a lot of color on your CV is your photo. Don't make your CV page a different color. Don't put patterns and stuff in the background. This is the format and the layout that people prefer. And remember, they also print your CV out. So if you have a dark background, then your information is not going to be very visible. So just remember that. If you're just starting out in the industry, this is the layout that you want to use. Once you've got a year or two's experience, then by all means, go and experiment. But for now, I highly recommend that you use this layout. It doesn't matter if your photo is on the left or on the right, but try to keep the pages wide, keep it very minimalistic and nice and neat. And that's it. I hope that was helpful. Once again, if you have any questions, just drop me an email or send me a message on Dre Robinson on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help you out. All right, until next time.